How's it going, everyone? After a little bit of a hiatus and a lot of look into a wormhole that honestly drove me away from my Twitter page and my YouTube, simply due to the fact that my own research is more important than expressing my views to you guys, in my opinion. Like, I have to fully understand where I'm coming from before I can talk to you. So when I find something that I know is going to change my paradigm, I'm not going to sit here and talk about it until I have a firm grasp on it. So forgive me if you can't understand that, but quite honestly, I'm not here to please anybody. I'm only here to talk about my perspective, and if it resonates with you, it resonates with you. If you like me, you like me. If you hate me, you hate me. This is life. I'm not going to waste my time caring about what anybody thinks anymore. All right. Now, with that being said, let's get on to the topic at hand. I've made a few observations that have absolutely astounded me, and quite honestly, putting them into practice over the last 2-3 weeks of my life, I've noticed a profound difference in how my interactions have changed completely with people. I've realized that I can implement my will over this universe in a way I never thought possible, and it's all due to simple observation. And it's all due to the fact that you have to realize you're being manipulated by programming inserted into your life on a day-to-day basis. Now, like I said, this is with all the caveat of this being my opinion and nothing more. So, if you want to, pay attention. If not, turn the video off. Mind you, this doesn't have anything to do with flat earth, even though it really does. But I'm not going to mention that word again in this entire video, I promise you. So I want to present you with a scenario, okay? Your father comes over to your house, and every time he comes over to your house, he creates an argument, or he creates a scenario that causes crap between you and your father. Now, this happens to me with my mother every single day. Every single time me and her interact, we could have a vacation for 3 days, but right before me and her disembark, it's going to turn into a shit show, and I can guarantee it. Okay, this is a realization, this is the ponderance that led me to this conclusion after looking for some answers and then realizing the answer's been right in front of my face the entire time, and it's really changed my paradigm on how I see things. So check this out. With that paradigm being presented, with that scenario, with your father being the catalyst to you and him arguing every single time that you've interacted, and this has been your entire life, no matter how good things are going, at the end of the day, you and him are going to end up arguing at some point. It's going to get bad. It's going to get nasty. No blows are going to be pulled. It's going to get bad, okay? So check this out. He comes over to your house. You guys go out and you catch 10-pound trout all day. He comes home, helps you take the boat off of the trailer. You put it in the backyard. He goes inside and asks you if you have a beer. You give him a beer. He sits down. You guys turn on the football game. You start watching some of the game or whatever. He drinks his beer. Says, I have to get up and go, I have to go home, I have to do some work in the yard tomorrow or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Will you come over and help me, right? You tell him, no, I have plans. Today was my only day off or whatever. I spent it with you going out fishing or whatnot. I don't have any time to do anything else. Now, he makes you feel guilty because he took time out of his schedule to come and spend time with you on a boat, right? Now, what you have to ask yourself is, how are you going to react in this situation? He's going to push your buttons, right? Say you let that go. Say you're like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it. I appreciate you taking time out of your day instead of reacting in a menial way that's just going to escalate things, right? So say you do that. Then he looks at your lamp and he's like, hey, this lamp is covered in dust, you're a slob, this isn't a psychologically great way to be living, blah, 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 right? He's pushing your buttons. Now you're starting to get angry, right? Not only did he criticize the fact, or try to use the fact that you have empathy against you, knowing that you're going to feel bad that he took time out of his schedule even though he said he didn't have time, right? So he's playing on your empathy card, and now he's attacking your personal hygiene and the way that you live, even though you know it's really not that bad. It's just some dust on the lamp, right? To be honest with you, I like a house that's lived in, and I get pestered for this all the time. Like, yeah, there's dust there. Like, I live here. Like, it's not immaculate. Big deal. Like, anyway, so he's just pushing your buttons. Now, say you blow up on him like you do every other time. 2 weeks later, same scenario breaks down. Just insert different causes at the end of it. Now, years and years and years of this go on, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, this is how things operate all the time. Why am I going to assume it's going to happen any differently? And like on a day-to-day basis, we're taught that, hey, that's just life, that's just people's personalities. But I'm going to tell you something different. What if it's programming? What if that's their script? What if that's the only thing, the only outcome that's going to happen at the end of the day, no matter what else happens? That was the predetermined outcome. That's why they're placed in your life, in your existence, in your reality, right? It's a deep, deep thought to have. But at the same time, there's no way to denying it. Like, I don't see how you could, because I'm going to give you a prime example, right? So say next time he does this, you sit there with a smile on your face, and you can be a little condescending if you want, and I challenge you to do this in your own life, because everybody has this person that presents their challenges. Everybody has this person in their life that does this to them, that it's part of life, and that's why people are presented to you in life. I think that's why you interact with the people you do in life. Anyhow, just put this into practice in your own life, and I bet you this outcome happens. You're going to put a smile on your face. You're going to be like, you know what, Dad? That lamp is dirty. You're right. I need to work on myself. He's going to come up with something else. He's going to come up with something else. Don't let it dissolve into an argument. Don't let him walk away. And realize everything he does from the first point of him trying to trigger you, if you try to dissolve that situation, all he's going to do is find something else to bitch about. That's what he's going to do, so you're just going to have to let it bounce off of you. You're going to have to just be nice, be condescending if you want. Just don't let it dissolve into an argument. Always keep yourself on the upper floor, right? Looking down on the situation. See, understanding something means that you're under it. It means that it has control over you. Overstand the situation and realize you have control over it, right? And you're not going to break the programming, but you're going to break the outcome that the programming was designed to give the system, right? Now, if this is the case, and I can tell you that if you try to implement it in real life, it's going to work, because I've done it myself with my mother, and it drove her absolutely mental. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to start that argument with you. You're the one that escalates it every single time. Your dad's not just going to start screaming at you. He's going to go crazy looking for a reason to get mad at you, and he's not going to find one, because you're going to be polite back. You're going to self-reflect on it, and you're going to just dissolve the situation so the outcome that was predetermined doesn't happen, because you have free will and he doesn't. So now the question you have to ask yourself, is my father a non-player character? We use computer terms to make it easy, because we have the language to do this now, when in histories, in times past, they didn't. So let's just say your dad's a non-player character. How many people around you are non-player characters that have been inserted in your life for nothing more than to give you a predetermined outcome because of your reaction that the system knows you're going to give it, because the system knows you, because you're tied into the system as well. It knows what your proclivities are. It knows what actions you're more likely to take when they give you a certain scenario. And that's how everything around you is presented to you, because this is a construct and you were placed here for a reason. I'm not going to get into the philosophy and philosophical ponderance of why or what happens afterwards, or if this is a carnival ride or a prison or a simulation within a simulation. None of that matters, because we're examining and experiencing this reality around us, and there's nothing more we can hope to see beyond it without the help of maybe DMT or something along those lines. But even then, you can't know anything besides this. The only truth that you're ever going to know is that you're experiencing something. That's it. You don't know if you're the only consciousness around you and everything else is derived from yourself, or if there's other player characters that are inhabiting avatars, or if you yourself are a computer program. I highly doubt that we are, because we have free will, and I can tell you right now, I can manipulate the universe around me just based on my decisions. Now, in centuries past, they called this magic. It's not, I'm not saying that I can slow down time or anything like that, but today they call it social engineering. You can definitely manipulate the outcome around you based on recognizing who's an NPC and who's not. I'm of the belief that there are people who are not NPCs around me who have the same ability to manipulate the world around them in order to give them an outcome. We were placed here for a reason. Whether there's a virus that's running wild and we were placed here to try to balance it out and combat it with our consciousness and our frequencies and our energy, or we're here in a prison because we've done something wrong in a different realm and we have to experience the injustice of this world around us and the influence of these NPCs in order to better understanding ourselves and understanding the crimes we've committed in the past. That's a possibility. Whether or not we pay to experience this, like Total Recall to some extent, like, I don't know the answer to that. I can't possibly try to tell you. I'd sit here and look like a fool if I told you I knew that. I don't know that. All I know is the reality that was constructed around me has to be some sort of program. It has to be. Because there's certain people around me that manipulate my emotions and my consciousness in the same exact way every single time we interact. And now that I'm aware of that, I change the outcome because I look at them as a non-player character. Think about this, man. How many times have you walked into a grocery store and that person behind the counter ringing your groceries up is a complete antithesis of everything you respect about individuals in this world, and they sit there and they trigger you in the most obvious ways, the things that piss you off the most, right? This happens all the time. Think about it. How many times have you experienced this in your life? How many times have you ran into the antithesis of everything that you believe in? What are the chances that you're going to run into that kind of experience more than once in a year? Think about it. Do the math on it. I'm not great at math, but I bet you the numbers are freaking astronomical, okay? Now, if you're even experiencing this twice in a month, it should prove to you that there's some sort of program there, okay? There's some sort of scripting. There's some sort of code. Numerology. You can't deny numerology. How do the elites just happen to have everything correspond with astrology and all of this, and all the numbers seem to add up every single time we try to look into it and explain the Fibonacci sequence and all of this other nonsense? It's not nonsense. I'm calling it nonsense because it's not part of my consciousness. I'm not tied into these NPCs. I look at them and there's people that have absolutely no empathy in this world. Think about it, man. Pedophiles, occultists, all these people have absolutely no empathy. How could they possibly have empathy if they're looking at these atrocities and they're not doing anything to stop about it, even though they hold power, right? It's not simply because they don't want to relinquish that power. I don't think that greed can destroy empathy. You're either born with empathy or you're born without it, okay? And there's a lot less people born with it than there are born without it. Think about it. Just think about it, man. If all 7.9 billion people on this planet were actually player characters, do you think we'd be living in the world we're living in? Do you think nobody would recognize what's going on? Not nobody, but in the grand scheme of things, nobody, okay? When you look at percentage-wise, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people waking up, but man, there's people even in your own family, you know damn well you're never going to be able to convince any of this is even plausible, to even look into it, to even open their mind to any of these rabbit holes that are out there that all have a plausible and logical place in this conversation, because nobody knows a damn thing other than the fact that we're experiencing something. So what I want you to ask yourself is, are you willing to put what I've told you into practice, even if it's just to prove what I'm saying is complete nonsense to yourself? Are you open-minded enough to take my challenge to prove to yourself that there's a script to the people that you interact with, and not all of them. Not everybody's a non-player character. So I want you to think about that one person in your life, because everybody has one. That's the way things work, in my opinion. Okay? Everybody has one. So think about that person that gives you the biggest challenge in your life. Every time you guys interact, it dissolves in absolute nonsense. And I want you to look for the scripting and the manipulation over the first few interactions with them, and figure out, or even think before you meet them, before you see them that next time, think about how your interactions have reoccurred over and over again, and look for the commonality in it, right? And then when those common ties start to surface in your next interaction, I want you to do what you can to manipulate reality into giving you the outcome you want, because you have the power to do that. It's not going to work with everybody, but it's going to work with the non-player characters, and that's their tell. That's what lets you know you're interacting with a non-organic consciousness, with a consciousness that's tied to a hive mind as opposed to a consciousness of oneself. Again, these are just my opinions. So, I'm going to leave you with that. After about a month of hiatus, I have a lot more to come on this, and I'm going to branch away from talking about one topic, right? This channel's not going to be strictly about FE. It's just not, okay? I want to step away from it a little bit because it's just being hammered so much right now that anything I have to say about it's already been said by somebody else, and you know what? I'm not going to get tied up into it. There's a whole lot more there. I know what I perceive to be as real, and I'm not going to spend time trying to convince people. I'm just going to give you my perspective on things, and we're going to move on. There's questions, feel free to ask. I'd be more than happy to answer any of them, because you know what? I have an open mind, and I'm willing to listen to people. Just be respectful. I leave you with that, my friends. Have a blessed day, and try to do what you can to live the best life you can. And that's all you can really ask of yourself, right? All you can ask is that you try. But if you have a way to make things better for yourself and the people around you, just by realizing that some people don't really have a choice in the way they interact, but you know what? You can make their lives and your life better by simply realizing that, hey, that is reality and that is the way things are. It's like, again, guys, have a great day. Take care. God bless. Good morning. Shalom. Whatever you guys want to say, man. Have a good one.